Hello, this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. Come along with us. We're going to do a bike ride that is in the most beautiful country. And on this trip, I had a little accident. I was embarrassed. And I found out something else on this trip. A national story, a national embarrassment to our country. Come along. Let's ride. We are going bicycling along the shores of Slocan Lake. Slocan Lake is in southeastern British Columbia in the West Kootenays, and it is located between two larger, more well-known lakes. To the west are the Arrow Lakes, the upper and lower, and that's part of the Columbia River system that flows eventually to the United States. The other big lake is to the east, and that's called the Kootenay Lake, and the water flows out of Kootenay Lake on the Kootenay River and joins the Columbia River, again, eventually ending up in the U.S. Again, where we're going biking is Slocan Lake. This is a big mountain country with heavy forests and lush growth everywhere. You can see Slocan Lake in the distance below, which is in the upper left of this photo. Elevation abounds everywhere if you are looking for cycling excitement and challenge. You can ride the trails or you can hike them. There is just no shortage of extreme elevation variation if you seek it. In the springtime, the variation in flower color amongst the lush green in the high country is second to none. This is the kind of cycling you can get into without much searching, but this is also a higher level of cycling that is not so suitable for old folks like me. You may have seen this chart in some other bike riding videos, but just very quickly on the kinds of trails that we're looking for. We're looking for the easier trails, more suitable for people outside the 660 age limit. Kids under 6 years old, or people over 60 like myself. Those in between those ages are interested more in the challenge of the bicycling trails. But we're interested in the easy exercise, leisure, relaxation, safety on the trail, not so interested in how fast we go, how quick can we go, or how far can we go. We are the outside 660 riders, and these are the kinds of trails that we ride. Looking at this map again, we're going to ride a bike trail from the town of New Denver just up along the eastern and northern part of Slocan Lake. There's other communities in the area like Slocan City down below. The green lines show the bike trails that we rode. We rode this one here, and I'll show you in another video another bike ride out to the east here, down at the south end of the lake, a couple of rides. But that's in another video. Again, in this video, let's do this ride along the shore of Slocan Lake. New Denver was named after Denver, Colorado in the U.S. because this new Denver was to outdo the old Denver. But the mineral riches did not last that long here, and today New Denver remains a quiet tourist haven in the most scenic part of the country on Earth. The lush and varied growth around here includes red Japanese maple trees like this one. We biked the Galena Trail north along the lake out of New Denver. Galena, as it says here, is a word that means the source or ore of minerals that contain lead and silver and other minerals found in this area. We're on the trail now. It was a warm and humid day, and the shaded trail was a relief from the hot sun. We met up with other people along the way and rode along with them for a while. The old railway bridges were resurfaced and ideal for cycling. On the left side, you can just see the edge of Slocan Lake. And as I said, the old railway line ran right along the shoreline of the lake. Look at this rider who lost her focus for just a second. She comes up a short, steep incline and powers out. And just look what happened and how quickly it can happen.
Low lake level this year. Oh. Very good, Jill.
Nice one. Oh.
You're just trying to batter Dawn.
I love.
Look how high I was geared.
I love your technique.
We're on the trail again. You know, only a foolish rider would do a thing like that. Not paying attention and doing bad practices. By the way, these are big trees that we're going through here. Here, I'll just point my camera up and show you just how tall these trees are. Whoa, 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 I'm off the trail. I'm in trouble. Whoa, whoa, I'm gonna crash. Look out, help.
Dawn, are you okay?
Is that it?
Are you okay?
Have you taken the picture?
Yeah, I'm doing a
That's
video.
all that matters. Shit doesn't matter about me. Rob, if you take that. Yeah. No, I knew I was in trouble because
Are you
I
sure?
had a coffee cup crooked.
You're okay?
I had the camera in my hand. Here, I'll take that.
It only takes me a second.
Okay.
Okay.
How do you feel?
Weren't in your 7.
No. I'm okay. Had a little spill, but everything is fine. You know, I was riding with no hands. One hand with the camera to show you the tops of those trees, and the other hand held my coffee cup here. And you know, a guy should watch what he's doing. Take my own advice a little bit. But all's well. I never even put a scratch on my coffee cup. And more important, I never even lost a drop of coffee. That's pretty good bike riding, eh? After the accident, we sat around a while and talked about the old fool falling off his bike. You can't help but admire and appreciate this beautiful country. Here we came across an old abandoned barge at the end of the lake. Just sitting there rotting away and enjoying the sun like us. But it wasn't long before we were on our bikes again, and we were on the railroad bed heading back home to New Denver. Sometimes the railroad bed was wide enough for 2 bicycles to go side by side, and other times the trail narrowed down to a single track kind of place. But the ride through the forest was very, very enjoyable. Once back in New Denver, we rode around town and found the National Historic park, the Nikkei Internment Memorial Center. This National Historic Park recognizes the 2,200 people or so of Japanese descent who were interned during World War II in several communities throughout the West Kootenays. Their internment was caused by the government's panic over a potential attack by Japan, something that never happened. Innocent people were transported by truck and train from their coastal homes to several mostly abandoned, isolated mining towns like New Denver and others like it in the BC interior. Their established and valuable fishing and agricultural assets on the coast were confiscated, never to be returned. After the war, people were given the choice: either go east to the prairies or Ontario and find a new life, or go west. By west, it did not mean back to their homes on the Pacific coast. West meant all the way to Japan. Their Pacific West, Vancouver, Victoria area homes and businesses had been taken over by non-Japanese, and the Japanese internees were not permitted to return to their homes. It is indeed a shameful story in Canadian history. We went back several times and rode the trail along the lake. While we're doing that, I can tell you a little more about the Japanese internees. Buildings were built basically from local lumber. Only doors and windows came from the coast, and they were all these 6-pane windows that you see on the left, and the 3-panel doors, which were had the panels below a large window. In town today, you can identify these old internment houses by their size and shape, rectangular shape, and their characteristic doors and windows. Here's a few pictures. This is the old wooden stoves that they had. Here's a picture of some of the kitchen stuff, and this is an example bed along with bunk beds. And the large toilets were shared by several families. Fences were never built around the camp towns because there was nowhere to really escape to. Although they had lost their homes, their businesses, and land, they did not lose their culture. Family and friends could socialize together. Children and parents were not separated. Vegetable gardens were planted, socialization and visiting was common. Social events like weddings and community and political meetings were held. People practiced their Buddhist religious beliefs. Dances, parades, and cultural performances occurred. People participated in sports like ball in summer and hockey in the winter. I read this in another internment town. It says, the new residents had identification numbers and so did their homes. Cars, radios, and cameras were forbidden, as was travel without a special permit. There was no running hot water, no electricity, no privacy in the downtown buildings. Each family shared one small partitioned space. Up to 20 families shared a kitchen and a toilet, and only some buildings had communal baths. But you know, for me, like this plaque says, parents kept feelings of bitterness and injustice to themselves, instead pointing their children toward a future as free Canadians. And, and in that, there is no doubt that these parents and grandparents of today's generations were successful. When then Prime Minister Brian Mulroney issued an official government apology and a small token monetary compensation, The Japanese community in Canada said it was fine, but it was too little, too late. And as the plaque says, and I quote, throughout World War II, there was never an act of treason by the 23,500 fishermen, farmers, loggers, coal miners, businessmen, and families who were declared enemy aliens. Their forced exile represents the largest mass movement of people in Canadian history. How did the Japanese people of 1942 respond to the upheaval situation that was forced upon them? They responded with a Japanese philosophy called shikara ganai, which means it cannot be helped. Nothing can be done about it. It is what it is. Accept things as they are. One has little control over the situation. It is better to move on rather than dwell forever on the past and then keep beating your head against a brick wall. What is the point? You know, we all face choices at times as we go through life. The Japanese folks made their choice and handled their crisis with one of pacifism and understanding and moving on. Why beat your head against the wall? And the other contrasting way, of course, is to fight and fight and fight till the very end. Sometimes that's the more appropriate response. It really depends on the situation, whether it's for a group of people or sometimes for ourselves as individuals. You know, it's not just where your bike takes you. It is what you learn along the way. I hope you enjoyed biking the trails as much as I did. It was just a great time, and I'd look forward to coming back to this part of the country, and maybe you can come too. In the meantime, we're saying adios. This is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. Hit the subscribe button, and we can bring you more trails